The music was playing softly, guests laughing and clinking glasses, when the sharp crack of a slap cut through everything like a knife. My cheek burned hot. The whole reception hall went dead quiet. Forks stopped halfway to mouths. Cameras froze in the air. Everyone stared. There stood my new daughter-in-law, Sarah, in her sparkling white dress, face red with anger. She pointed one manicured finger right at me. "Give us the house, you old hag," she shouted. "We deserve it. Hand over the keys right now or this wedding is over." My son, Michael, stood next to her, eyes wide, mouth open, but saying nothing. The people at the closest tables gasped. An aunt dropped her wine glass. It shattered on the floor like my heart. I just stood there, 68 years old, in my simple blue dress I had worn to so many family events. The same dress I bought on sale because I never wanted to spend too much. My hands shook a little, but I kept my voice calm. "Not today, Sarah," I said quietly. "Not ever." She laughed, mean and loud. "Oh, please, you live in that old dump by yourself. We're young, we need space. You'll be fine in some cheap apartment, or better yet, a nursing home." More gasps. Phones came out. People started recording. I looked around at all those frozen faces, friends, cousins, neighbors who had known me for decades. Then I looked back at Sarah and smiled the smallest smile. "You really think you know everything about me, don't you?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "I know enough, now give us what we want." I took one slow breath, then another. That's when I decided it was time they learned the truth. Hey everyone, if stories like this, real family drama, shocking twists, and a little justice keep you hooked till the end, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what happens next. Let's dive into the full story. My name is Margaret Thompson. I'm 68, a retired school teacher, and I've lived in the same modest two-story house on Maple Street for almost all my life. My late husband, Robert, and I got it right after we got married. His parents gave it to us as a wedding gift. It had been in his family for 4 generations, simple but full of love, laughter, and memories. The wooden floors still creaked in the same spots. The kitchen smelled like cinnamon from all the pies I baked for holidays. That house wasn't just walls and a roof, it was my roots. When Robert passed 8 years ago, I thought about selling it. Too many empty rooms, too quiet. But every time I walked past his favorite armchair by the window, I couldn't do it. So I stayed. I lived simply. Small grocery bills, no fancy trips, no new car. Every extra penny went to my only child, Michael. I paid for his college, $150,000 over 4 years. No loans for him. I wanted him to start life free. Then came his engagement to Sarah. Beautiful girl, or so I thought. I covered most of the wedding, $80,000. Flowers, venue deposit, photographer, the dress she had to have. I even gave them $25,000 for a down payment on their shiny new SUV. They said thank you once, then it was back to business as usual. A few weeks before the big day, Sarah started making comments. "Your house is so outdated, Margaret," she said one afternoon while visiting. She wrinkled her nose at my floral curtains. "We could really use a bigger place after the honeymoon, something modern." I laughed it off. "The house has character." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Character is nice, but space is better." I didn't say anything then, but something in my stomach twisted. Then came the rehearsal dinner. I was in the hallway, fixing my shawl, when I overheard them in the next room, Michael and Sarah laughing with a couple of their friends. "After the honeymoon, we tell her it's time to move. She can go to a senior place. We'll take the house, fix it up, flip it maybe, easy money." Michael chuckled. "Yeah, Mom's getting older, she won't fight it." I stood there in the shadows, heart pounding so hard I thought they would hear it. My own son, the boy I raised, the one I sacrificed vacations, new clothes, everything for, laughing about putting me away like an old piece of furniture. I went back to my seat that night and smiled through the toasts, but inside something changed. I remembered a secret I had kept for years. You see, when my mother passed, she left me more than just memories. There was a small inheritance, enough that I made a smart investment 20 years ago. I bought a beautiful wedding and event venue on the edge of town, quietly. No one knew, not even Robert. I paid it off over time with rental income. The venue was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, polished wood floors, gardens outside. People paid top dollar to get married there. And guess what? That was exactly where Michael and Sarah chose for their wedding. I never told them I owned it. Why would I? I just signed the contract like any other client and paid the deposit from my own account. As the slap still stung my cheek and Sarah stood there demanding the house, I looked up at the beautiful ballroom around us, the same ballroom I had walked through 100 times, checking lights, flowers, everything. I raised my glass slowly. The room was still silent. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, voice steady now, "before we continue, I think it's time for a little toast and a little truth." Sarah crossed her arms. "Whatever, just give us the keys." I smiled bigger. "I don't think so, because this isn't any venue. This is my venue." The words hung in the air. The room stayed so quiet you could hear the air conditioning hum. My words, "This is my venue," hung there like smoke after fireworks. Sarah blinked fast, like she hadn't heard right. Then she laughed, short and sharp. "Nice try, Margaret. Very funny. Now stop playing games and give us the house keys." I didn't move. I just kept my eyes on her and slowly reached into my small purse, the one I carried because it matched my dress, not because it was expensive. I pulled out a single folded sheet of paper. The deed, notarized, my name clear as day at the top. I held it up so the closest tables could see. "This building," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "has been mine since 2004. I bought it with money my mother left me, quietly, no big announcement. I rented it out for weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, paid it off years ago. Every bride and groom who walked through these doors paid rent. To me." A low murmur started rippling through the crowd. Phones were still recording. Someone whispered, "No way." Sarah's face went from red to white. "You're lying," she snapped. "You're just some broke old teacher." I nodded toward the side door where the venue manager, Carlos, stood in his neat black suit. He'd worked for me for 12 years. Good man, trusted. "Carlos," I called calmly, "would you please come here?" He walked over quick, no hesitation. I handed him the deed. He glanced at it, then looked straight at Sarah and Michael. "Everything Mrs. Thompson just said is correct," Carlos said in his steady voice. "She is the sole owner of Willow Grove Events Center. I've managed it under her direction since 2014. Tonight's booking was made in the name of Michael Thompson and Sarah Jenkins. The contract was signed by both of them, and the deposit, $12,000, was paid from Mrs. Thompson's personal account." Gasps again, louder this time. Sarah's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Michael finally found his voice. "Mom, what are you doing?" I turned to him. My sweet boy who used to hug me every morning before school, who cried when his dad died, who promised he'd always take care of me. "What am I doing?" I repeated softly. "I'm protecting what's mine, the same way I protected you all these years." I looked back at the crowd. I paid for Michael's college, every semester, no debt. I paid for most of this wedding. Flowers, cake, band, photographer, the dress Sarah just had to have. $80,000. I gave them $25,000 for their car so they could drive in comfort. I skipped trips, new clothes, even the new roof I needed last year. I put it off so they could have their dream start. My voice stayed even, but my eyes stung. And in return, I overheard my own son and his fiancée laughing about putting me in a home, taking my family house, the house my husband's grandparents built with their own hands, and selling it for easy money. Michael's face crumpled. He looked at the floor. Sarah crossed her arms tighter. "This is ridiculous. You can't just shut down a wedding." I smiled again, small and tired. "Actually, I can, because I own the building, and right now I'm asking everyone to leave, politely." I nodded to Carlos. "Carlos, please turn off the music and start clearing the room. The event is over." The string quartet stopped mid-note. Lights came up brighter. Waiters froze with trays of champagne. Guests started murmuring, standing up slowly, unsure what to do. Sarah stomped her foot. "You can't do this. We paid for this." "You paid me, and I'm refunding every penny, except maybe the part that covers the cake you already ate." A few people actually laughed. Nervous laughs, but real. Michael stepped forward, eyes shiny. "Mom, please, let's talk, not here." I looked at him a long moment. "You had plenty of chances to talk, Michael, before the slap, before the rehearsal dinner, before you let her call me an old hag in front of everyone." She hissed. She deserved it. I cut her off with one raised hand. No, I deserved respect. That's all I ever asked. I turned to the crowd. "Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry your evening ended this way, but family isn't about what you can take. It's about what you protect, what you honor, what you cherish even when no one's watching." I took one last look at the beautiful hall, the chandeliers I picked out myself, the gardens I walked every spring to make sure the roses bloomed just right. Then I said the words that ended it all. "Carlos, lock the doors after the last guest leaves. The wedding is canceled." People started moving then, slowly at first, then faster. Aunts hugged me on their way out. Cousins shook their heads at Michael. Phones kept recording. Someone even went live on social media. I didn't stop them. Let the world see. Sarah stood there in her perfect dress, mascara starting to run. Michael looked like he might be sick. I walked past them without another word, up the small staircase to the owner's office I kept on the second floor. I closed the door, sat in the old leather chair, and for the first time in years, I let myself cry. Not loud, just quiet. For the boy I raised, for the home I loved, for the family I thought I had. But tears dry, and when they did, I made 2 calls. First, to my lawyer, "Start the paperwork, I'm selling Willow Grove." Second, to a friend who runs a nonprofit for seniors. "I want to start something, a group that helps older people keep their homes, fight back when family tries to push them out. I've got money coming, a lot of it." Because that night, the venue sold 6 months later for $1.2 million cash. I kept enough to fix my roof, take a small trip, buy new curtains if I wanted. The rest went to the Margaret Thompson Elder Roots Foundation. We help widows, widowers, anyone facing greedy relatives. We pay lawyers, we teach rights. We remind people, your home is your story. Don't let anyone erase it. Michael called a few times after that night. I didn't answer. Not yet. Maybe someday. But respect has to come first. Sarah? She posted apologies online. Too late. The videos were everywhere. People chose sides. Most chose mine. And my house on Maple Street? Still mine. Still creaking in all the right places. Still smelling like cinnamon some mornings when I bake. Because roots matter. Family honors roots. Or it isn't family at all. The lights in the ballroom dimmed as the last guests filed out. Carlos locked the big double doors with a soft click that echoed like the end of a chapter. I stayed upstairs in the small owner's office, staring out the window at the parking lot emptying under the street lamps. Cars pulled away one by one. Some honked goodbye, others just left in silence. Downstairs, Michael and Sarah were still there. I could hear their voices drifting up the stairs, sharp, angry, pleading, all mixed together. "Mom, come down, we need to talk," Michael called. Sarah's voice cut in louder. "This is insane, you ruined everything, my wedding, my day." I didn't answer, not yet. I opened my phone instead. Notifications were already exploding. Someone had gone live during the toast. The clip of Sarah slapping me, then demanding the house was spreading fast. Hashtags popped up. Hashtag wedding slap. Hashtag entitled bride. Hashtag justice for Margaret. Views climbed by the thousands every minute. I set the phone down and took a slow breath. My cheek still stung a little, but the real hurt was deeper. About 20 minutes later, there was a knock on the office door. Soft, hesitant. "Mom, it's me, Michael." I opened the door. He stood there alone, no Sarah. His tuxedo tie was loose, shirt untucked, eyes red like he'd been crying. He looked 10 years older than this morning. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. I stepped aside. He walked in and closed the door behind him. We stood there a moment, neither speaking. The room smelled like old books and coffee, my little hiding spot over the years. "I'm sorry," he said finally, voice cracked. I never meant for it to go like this." I crossed my arms. "Then why didn't you stop her? When she slapped me, when she called me an old hag, when she laughed about putting me away?" He looked at the floor. "I was scared of losing her, scared of the fight. I thought if I just stayed quiet it would blow over, that you'd give in eventually, like you always did." "Like I always did," I repeated. The words tasted bitter. He nodded. "You gave up so much for me. College, the wedding, the car. I got used to it. I thought that's how it worked. You give, I take. And you'd keep giving because you're Mom." Tears slipped down his cheeks now. But tonight, seeing everyone look at me like I was trash, hearing the whispers, I realized I let her turn me into someone I don't even recognize. I stayed quiet, let him talk. "Sarah's downstairs. She's furious. Says she's calling a lawyer. Says we're suing you for, I don't even know what. Emotional distress or something stupid. But I told her no. I told her we're done if she keeps this up." He wiped his face with his sleeve. "I don't want the house, Mom. Not like this. I want my mom back. I want to fix this." I studied his face. The same face I used to kiss goodnight. The same eyes that lit up when I brought home ice cream after a bad day. "Fixing takes time, Michael," I said. "And it starts with truth, not apologies after you get caught." He nodded fast. "I know, I'll do whatever it takes. Counseling, whatever you want. Just don't shut me out forever." I didn't promise anything. Not yet. "Go home," I told him gently. "Both of you, sleep on it. Think hard about what family really means." He hesitated, then stepped forward and hugged me. I let him. His shoulders shook. I patted his back once, twice, the way I did when he was little. When he pulled away, he whispered, "I love you, Mom." "I love you too," I said. "But love isn't enough if there's no respect." He left quietly. A few minutes later, I heard the front door close. Sarah's voice, still complaining, faded into the night as their car drove off. I sat back down. The phone buzzed again. Hundreds of messages now. Support pouring in from strangers. Offers to help. Donations already trickling into a GoFundMe someone started for the elder advocacy group without me even asking. I smiled a little for the first time that night. The next morning, I met my lawyer at a coffee shop down the street. We talked numbers. Mallow Grove Events Center, my quiet little gold mine, appraised at $1.4 million. A developer had already made an offer, $1.2 million cash, quick close, no haggling. I signed the papers that afternoon. 3 months later, the check cleared. I paid off the last of my small debts, fixed the roof on Maple Street, bought myself a comfortable recliner, the kind Robert always wanted but we never got around to. I even took a short trip to the beach. First vacation in 15 years. I sat on the sand, watched the waves, and felt light. The rest of the money, most of it, went straight into the Margaret Thompson Elder Roots Foundation. We started small. A website, a hotline, a few volunteer lawyers who hated seeing seniors pushed out of their homes. Word spread fast, especially after the wedding videos went viral. Millions of views. News stations called. I did a couple interviews, short ones, kept it simple. Families should build each other up, not tear each other down for a bigger living room, I told one reporter. Michael started coming around again, alone at first, no Sarah. He helped me plant new roses in the backyard. We talked, really talked, about everything. The sacrifices, the mistakes, the future. He went to therapy. Sarah, she didn't last long after the wedding fallout. Too much pride, too much online hate. Be split quietly. Last I heard, she moved back with her parents. Michael and I are rebuilding, slow, careful, but real. He comes for Sunday dinner now, brings groceries sometimes, calls before he visits. Small things, important things. And my house on Maple Street still creaks in the right places, still smells like cinnamon when I bake, still mine. Because some things aren't for sale. Not for money, not for a fancy wedding, not even for family, if that family forgets what roots mean. So that's the end of the story. Or maybe the beginning of a better one. Hey everyone, thank you for sticking with me through all 3 parts. If this story made you think about your own family, your home, or just gave you a little hope, drop a comment below. Tell me, would you have done what Margaret did, or something different? I read every single one. If you want more real-life inspired stories with heart, twists, and a bit of justice, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Next one drops soon. Take care of your roots. They're the only ones you've got. Margaret out. Blue. The months after the wedding that never was turned into something I never expected. A quiet kind of victory, mixed with healing that hurt as much as it helped. I kept the house on Maple Street exactly the way it was. Same faded yellow paint on the porch, same swing where Robert and I used to sit on summer evenings, listening to crickets. I even left his old toolbox in the garage, untouched. Some things you don't fix because they're already perfect in their broken way. The foundation grew faster than I thought possible. Donations kept coming in, small ones from regular folks who saw the videos, bigger ones from people who'd been through the same thing. A retired couple in Ohio sent $500 with a note. We lost our home to our son's new family. Thank you for fighting. A lawyer in California offered free help 1 day a week. We hired a part-time director, a kind woman named Lisa who'd lost her mom to a shady eviction, and opened a tiny office above the local library. Every Tuesday, we held open hours. Seniors came in with folders of papers, scared eyes, and stories that sounded too familiar. My daughter says the house is too big for me. My grandson wants to modernize it, meaning sell it. We listened. We explained their rights. Sometimes we just made tea and let them talk. One man cried when we told him he didn't have to sign anything his kids put in front of him. He hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. Michael started showing up at the foundation sometimes, not to work, just to help carry boxes or fix a wobbly table. He never asked for credit. He just did the work and left. One afternoon, he brought sandwiches from the deli down the street, the kind with extra pickles I always liked. We sat on the back steps of the office, eating in silence for a while. "You don't have to do this," I said. "I know," he answered. "I want to." I looked at him sideways. "Why?" He took a slow bite, chewed, swallowed. "Because I was part of the problem once. I let someone make me think taking was easier than giving back. I hate who I was that night." I nodded, didn't say anything. Sometimes silence is the best forgiveness you can give. Sarah never came around. Last I heard through a cousin, she'd moved to a city up north, got a job in marketing, posted pictures of new apartments and fancy dinners. No apologies on her page anymore, just shiny, happy shots that looked forced. Michael said they talked once after the split. She blamed me for ruining her life. He told her the truth ruined nothing, it just showed what was already there. He never went back to her. One crisp fall day, about a year after the slap, I got a letter in the mail. Plain white envelope, no return address. Inside was a single page, handwritten. "Margaret, I was wrong, completely. The slap, the words, the greed. I thought I deserved everything because I was young and pretty and starting out. I didn't see you as a person, just an obstacle. I lost a lot that night. My wedding, my fiance, my dignity on the internet. But mostly, I lost the chance to be better while you were still willing to teach me. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I'm sorry, truly, and I'm trying to be different now. Sarah." I read it twice, folded it carefully, put it in the drawer with Robert's old letters. Not forgiveness yet, but acknowledgement. That was something. Michael and I started small traditions again, Sunday dinners at Maple Street. He learned to make my pot roast recipe. Still needs more salt, but he's getting there. We talked about Robert a lot. About the mistakes we both made, about second chances. One evening last month, he brought a small wooden box. Inside was a key, brass, old-fashioned. "What's this?" I asked. He smiled shy. "The spare key to your house. I had one made years ago, remember? I'm giving it back, officially. No more assumptions." I took the key, held it in my palm. It felt heavier than it should. "Thank you," I whispered. He hugged me then, long and tight, the way he used to when he was scared of thunderstorms as a kid. "I'm proud of you, Mom," he said into my shoulder. "Not just for what you did that night, for everything after." I pulled back and looked at him, really looked. The boy was gone. The man in front of me had learned something hard and expensive. "I'm proud of you too," I told him, "for coming back." We sat on the porch swing after that, watched the leaves fall, listened to the crickets. The house creaked behind us like it was breathing with us. Roots don't always stay pretty. Sometimes they get torn up, exposed, hurt. But if you water them with truth, time, and a little grace, they grow back stronger. My cheek doesn't sting anymore. The videos have mostly faded from people's feeds, but the foundation keeps growing. The house keeps standing, and my son keeps showing up. That's enough. more than enough. Hey everyone, that's part 4, the quiet, hopeful ending that real life sometimes gives us when we least expect it. If this whole story touched you, if it made you call your parents or check on your grandparents, or just think twice about family, drop a comment and tell me why. I read every one, and they mean the world. If you want more stories that feel real, messy families, hard lessons, and second chances, subscribe and hit the bell. Next one's already in the works. Take care of your roots, hug the people who matter, and never forget, respect isn't optional, it's the foundation. The years slipped by quieter than I ever thought they would after that one loud, painful night. Maple Street stayed the same in all the ways that mattered. The oak tree out front grew a little wider, shading the porch swing where I still sat most evenings with a cup of chamomile tea. The creaks in the floorboards never changed, they just became more familiar, like old friends saying hello when I walked from the kitchen to the living room. I planted tulips every spring now, bright red and yellow ones. Robert would have loved them. The Margaret Thompson Elder Roots Foundation turned 5 last month. We're not huge, no fancy building or big staff, but we've helped over 300 families keep their homes. We've stopped unfair evictions, explained powers of attorney so no one signs away their life by mistake, and sat with scared widows who thought they had nowhere left to turn. Every success story gets a small celebration in our office, cake from the corner bakery, coffee, and lots of hugs. Lisa, our director, says I'm the heart of it. I tell her she's the one who keeps it beating. Michael is 38 now. He married again 2 years ago, a gentlewoman named Elena who teaches 3rd grade and laughs at his terrible jokes. They have a little girl, my granddaughter, Lily. She's 4, with Robert's blue eyes and a giggle that fills up the whole house when she visits. Lily loves the swing. She calls me Nana Maggie and insists on helping me bake cinnamon rolls every time she comes over. We roll dough together, flour on our noses, and she asks questions like only 4-year-olds can. Nana, why does the house make funny noises? Because it's old and happy, I tell her. It remembers all the good days. She nods like that makes perfect sense. Michael and Elena bought a small house 10 minutes away. Not too close, not too far. He still comes for Sunday dinners. Elena brings flowers from her garden. Lily runs straight to the kitchen to help me set the table. We eat pot roast, he finally got the salt right, talk about school projects and foundation cases, and laugh until our sides hurt. Sarah's name doesn't come up much anymore. Michael said once, quietly, over coffee, I think she's doing okay, found someone new. I hope she's happy. I nodded, no anger left, just a faint sadness for what could have been, then gone. One afternoon last fall, I got another letter. Same plain envelope, same careful handwriting. Margaret, I saw on the news that your foundation helped a woman keep her farm after her kids tried to force a sale. I cried watching it. You built something real out of the worst night of my life. I volunteer at a senior center now. Nothing big, just listening, playing cards, driving people to appointments. It's small, but it feels right. I still think about that slap every day. The shame doesn't go away, but I'm trying to turn it into something better. Thank you for showing me strength looks like. Not revenge, just refusing to disappear. If you ever read this, know that I'm sorry, and I'm grateful. Sarah. I folded the letter and added it to the drawer. Maybe someday I'll write back. Not today, but the anger is gone, replaced with something softer. Understanding, maybe, or just peace. Last week was my 75th birthday. Michael and Elena threw a small party at my house. Nothing fancy. Balloons Lily helped blow up, a cake with too much frosting, neighbors who've known me forever. The foundation sent flowers. Carlos, my old venue manager, came with his wife and a bottle of sparkling cider. We toasted on the porch. Michael stood up at one point, cleared his throat. I want to say something, he said. Everyone got quiet. Mom, Nana Maggie, you could have let that night destroy everything. You could have turned bitter, shut us all out. Instead, you built something that helps people every single day. You taught me, late, but you taught me what real family looks like, what love that lasts actually costs. He raised his glass. To roots that hold strong, to second chances, and to the strongest woman I know." Everyone cheered. Lily clapped her sticky hands. I wiped my eyes and smiled. Later, after the cake was gone and the guests left, Michael stayed to help clean up. Lily was asleep on the couch, thumb in her mouth. He looked around the kitchen, the same cabinets Robert hung, the same table where we ate every night. "You know," he said, "this house, it's yours forever, but when the time comes, way in the future, if you ever want to move closer to us or need help, we're here. No pressure, no taking, just family." I touched his cheek. "I know, sweetheart, and I'll let you know when I'm ready. But for now, I like hearing the creaks." He hugged me tight. "I love you, Mom. I love you more." That night, after they left, I sat on the porch swing with the stars out. The air smelled like fallen leaves and cinnamon from the rolls we baked earlier. The house sighed behind me, content. Roots don't promise perfection. They promise staying power. They promise that even after storms, even after mistakes, even after slaps and tears and years apart, something can grow back if you tend it with truth and time. My cheek hasn't stung in a long time. And the house on Maple Street? It's still mine, still home, still full of love. Hey everyone, that's part 5. The gentle close I didn't know this story needed until it arrived. If you've been with me since the slap in part 1, thank you, truly. Your comments, your shares, your own stories in the comments, they kept this going. If this journey made you feel something, hope, anger, healing, anything, tell me in the comments. What part hit you hardest? What would you say to Margaret now? Subscribe if you want more stories that start messy and end with heart. The bell means you won't miss the next one. Take care of your people, water your roots, and remember, the best families aren't perfect, they're the ones that keep showing up. The porch light flickered on as the sun dipped behind the old oak tree. I was 78 now, slower in the mornings, but the swings still held me just right. Lily, my little whirlwind of a granddaughter, was 9 these days. Braids flying, sneakers scuffed from climbing every tree in the backyard. She'd taken to calling the house the story house, because every creak, she said, was telling a new chapter. "Nana Maggie," she announced one Saturday afternoon, bursting through the screen door with a handful of dandelions. "Today, we're gonna write the next part of your story, the one with the slap and the house and everything." I laughed, soft. "Honey, that story's already written." She plopped down beside me on the swing, legs swinging. "Nope, stories keep going. Daddy says so. He says yours is still adding pages." Michael appeared in the doorway, Elena behind him carrying a tray of iced tea and cookies. He looked good, settled, steady, the kind of man who checks on his mom without being asked. "Lily's right," he said, sitting on the steps. "The story never really ends, it just grows roots deeper." We sat there together as the light turned golden. Elena poured the tea, Lily arranged her dandelions in a circle on the porch floor like tiny suns. I told them about the latest foundation case, a 92-year-old veteran whose nephew tried to put the family farm in a trust for his own good. We won. The farm stayed his. He sent me a photo of himself on the tractor last week. Thumbs up, grin wide. Lily listened with big eyes. "Nana, you're like a superhero, but with cinnamon rolls instead of a cape." I ruffled her hair. "Superheroes need backup. That's you, your dad, Elena, Lisa, Carlos, all the people who show up." Michael leaned forward, elbows on knees. "Mom, I've been thinking about the house." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" "Not taking it," he said quickly. "Never again. But what if we made it bigger? Not the building, the meaning. What if we turned part of the backyard into a little community garden for the foundation folks, seniors who don't have yards anymore? They could plant, visit, sit on benches. Lily could help. We could call it Robert's Patch or Margaret's Roots, something like that." I looked out at the yard. The grass was patchy in spots, but there was room. Room for tomatoes, zinnias, maybe a bench under the maple where Robert used to read the paper. Lily bounced. "Yes! And we can have a sign that says, 'No taking allowed, only growing.'" Elena smiled. "I'll bring the school kids for planting days. 3rd graders love dirt." I felt something warm settle in my chest, not the sharp sting of old hurts, but the slow spread of something good. "Let's do it," I said. but only if Lily designs the sign. She squealed and ran inside for paper and crayons. That spring, we broke ground. Volunteers from the foundation came, neighbors brought shovels, Carlos showed up with his teenage grandson and a truckload of topsoil. Michael rented a small tiller, Elena organized snacks, Lily drew the sign in bright marker, a big tree with deep roots and the words, "Roots grow here, no slaps allowed." We laughed about that one. The first plants went in on a sunny Saturday. An old woman from the foundation, Mrs. Alvarez, who'd almost lost her bungalow last year, planted the first tomato seedling with shaky hands, tears on her cheeks. "This is mine," she whispered, "still mine." I squeezed her shoulder. Always. By summer, the garden was alive. Tomatoes heavy and red, marigolds bright as sunshine, benches full of people telling stories, sharing coffee from thermoses, laughing at Lily's cartwheels across the grass. One evening, Michael and I sat out there alone after everyone left, fireflies starting to wink, the house lights glowing warm through the windows. "You know," he said quietly, "I still dream about that night sometimes. The slap, the silence, how close I came to losing everything that matters." I reached over and patted his hand. "Dreams aren't promises, they're reminders. You woke up, that's what counts." He nodded. "I wake up grateful every day now." We sat in comfortable quiet for a while. Then he asked, "Do you ever regret it, shutting down the wedding, selling the venue?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I said, "because if I hadn't, none of this would be here. The foundation, the garden, Lily running through the yard calling this the story house, you and me sitting here without walls between us. Sometimes the hardest cut makes the deepest root." He smiled, small and real. "I love you, Mom. Love you more." Inside, Lily was practicing piano, clumsy but earnest. The notes floated out to us on the evening air. The house creaked once, like it was joining the song. Roots don't stop growing just because the ground gets rocky. They find cracks, push through, reach deeper. They hold on. And sometimes, if you're lucky, they grow a whole garden. Hey everyone, here we are at part 6, the chapter that feels like the sweetest one yet. If you've walked this whole road with Margaret, from the slap to the swing, from hurt to healing, thank you. Your comments through the years kept showing up in my inbox like little lights. They mattered. Tell me in the comments, what would you plant in Robert's patch if you had a spot in the garden? Or what's one root you're grateful for in your own life right now? If these stories still find you, subscribe and tap the bell. More coming, always more. Water what matters, protect what's yours, and never stop growing. The garden behind Maple Street had become something alive. Taller sunflowers nodding in the breeze, tomato vines heavy with fruit, benches worn smooth from so many conversations. By the time Lily turned 11, the sign she'd drawn as a 9-year-old still stood at the gate, faded but proud. "Roots grow here, no slaps allowed." Kids from the neighborhood sometimes stopped to read it and ask what it meant. Lily loved telling them the short version. It means, "Be nice to your grandma." I was 81 now. The mornings took longer to get going. Stiff knees, a little more coffee needed. But the porch swing still fit me perfectly. Michael had added a small ramp to the back steps so I could walk down to the garden without worrying. Elena planted lavender along the path because she said the smell reminded her of calm. It did the same for me. One crisp October afternoon, the foundation held its annual Roots Day picnic, right there in Robert's patch. Folding tables, homemade pies, a bounce house for the grandkids, and a long table of stories people wanted to share. Mrs. Alvarez brought her famous empanadas. Carlos's grandson, now in college, played guitar softly in the corner. Lily ran around organizing a seed swap station where kids traded packets of wildflowers and beans. I sat under the big maple in my favorite chair, quilt over my lap, watching it all. Michael came over with 2 mugs of cider, handed me one, and pulled up a folding chair beside me. "Busy day," he said. "Best kind," I answered. We watched Lily teach a shy little boy how to plant garlic cloves, pointy end up. She was patient, the way Elena had taught her. When the boy got it right, she high-fived him so hard he giggled. Michael cleared his throat. "Mom, I've been thinking about something." I sipped my cider. Waited. "The house," he said. Not taking it, never that again. But Elena and I talked. When the time comes, way down the road, if you ever want company, we could add on a small suite at the back, ground floor. Your own door, your own kitchenette if you want it, or not, only if you want it, no pressure. Just so you're never alone if stairs get hard. I looked at him, really looked. The worry lines around his eyes weren't from guilt anymore. They were from love that had learned to plan ahead instead of take. I've thought about it too, I admitted. Not ready yet, but when I am, I'd like that. A place where I can still smell cinnamon in my own kitchen and hear Lily practicing piano down the hall. He smiled, relieved, soft. Good. We'll keep the plans in a drawer till you say go. Lily ran over then, cheeks pink from running, holding something behind her back. Nana, close your eyes. I did. She placed something small and cool in my palm. Okay, open. A tiny ceramic house, no bigger than my hand, painted yellow like the porch, with a little swing on the front, and deep brown roots curling out the bottom like they were growing right into the ground. I made it in art class, she said proudly. It's our story house, so you can carry the roots with you even if you're not here. I turned it over in my hands. The bottom had her careful printing, for Nana Maggie, Roots Forever. Tears came fast and quiet. I pulled her into a hug, breathing in the smell of sunshine and dirt on her hair. It's perfect, sweetheart, I whispered. Thank you. That evening, after the picnic tables were folded and everyone had gone home, the four of us, Michael, Elena, Lily, and me, sat on the porch. Fireflies again. The garden lights glowed soft along the paths. The ceramic house sat on the small table between us, like a promise. Michael reached over and squeezed my hand. You know, he said, I used to think family was about what you got. Now I know it's about what you keep safe and what you grow together. I nodded. And sometimes the keeping safe part means letting go a little, letting the next generation add their own colors. Lily leaned against my shoulder. I'm gonna keep the story going, Nana. When I'm big, I'm gonna help people keep their houses too, like you. I kissed the top of her head. You are all ready, baby girl. The house creaked behind us, one long, contented sigh. The swing moved gently, even though no one was pushing it. Maybe the roots were rocking it themselves. 81 years, one slap, one hard night, and 1,000 small good days after. Roots don't ask for perfection. They just ask you to stay planted long enough for the next season to come. And the next one always does. Hey everyone, Part 7, the one that feels like sitting on the porch at dusk with people you love. If you followed Margaret from that shocking reception hall to this quiet garden, thank you for every like, every comment, every share. Your words in the comments have been part of the roots too. Tell me, what would you put in your own ceramic house if you made one? A symbol of your roots? Or who's the person in your life that keeps showing up the way Michael finally did? If these stories still wrap around your heart, subscribe and hit the bell. There's always another chapter waiting. Keep planting, keep protecting, keep loving the messy, beautiful way families can grow when they choose to. The garden lights had been on longer these days. Soft gold strings Michael strung up last Christmas and never took down. They glowed even in winter, catching snowflakes like tiny stars when the first flurries came. I was 84 now. The swing still rocked me gently, but someone always made sure a thick blanket was folded over the armrest before I sat down, usually Lily. She was 14, taller than me already, with the same determined look Robert used to get when he was fixing something stubborn. She came out one late spring evening carrying 2 mugs of chamomile, hers with extra honey, mine the way I'd always liked it. She sat close, shoulder to shoulder, and we watched the fireflies start their slow dance over Robert's patch. Nana, she said after a while, voice quieter than usual, I've been thinking about the story, the whole one, from the slap to now. I smiled into my mug. It's a long one. Yeah, but it's mine too, right? Like I inherited it. I turned to look at her. Her eyes were serious, the way they got when she was working on a school project or arguing with her dad about curfew. You didn't inherit the hurt, I told her. You inherited the healing. That's the part worth keeping. She nodded slowly. I want to keep adding to it. When I go to college next year, environmental science maybe, I want to come back and make the garden bigger. Solar lights that don't need wires. Rain barrels, a little greenhouse for people who can't bend down so easy anymore, so more grandmas and grandpas can sit out here and tell their stories. My throat tightened. I reached over and tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. You already make it bigger every time you walk through the gate, I said. We sat in silence a bit longer. The house creaked once, long and low, like it was agreeing. Michael and Elena joined us eventually. Michael carried a small wooden tray with slices of the cinnamon coffee cake I'd taught Lily to bake last weekend. Elena had her phone out, showing pictures from the foundation's latest win, an 89-year-old woman in Nebraska who got to keep the farmhouse she'd lived in since she was a bride. The comments under the post were full of hearts and "Thank you, Margaret" messages from people I'd never met. Michael set the tray down and sat on the steps. "Mom," he said, "the foundation's board wants to name the new community outreach program after you, Margaret's Roots Initiative. They think it'll help more people find us, know there's a place to call when family starts talking about what's best." I looked at the three of them, my son who came back, his wife who welcomed me like her own, my granddaughter who carried the story forward without ever carrying the grudge. "I'd be honored," I said simply, "but only if we add one line to the mission statement." They waited. "Family honors roots, or it learns to." Lily grinned. "I like that. Sounds like something you'd say during a toast." "I probably did," I laughed, "a long time ago." The fireflies thickened. The lavender along the path released its scent every time the breeze moved. Somewhere down the street a dog barked once, then quieted. The world felt small and safe and full. Later, when Michael and Elena had gone inside to start the dishes, and Lily had run off to text her friends about tomorrow's planting plans, I stayed on the swing a little longer, alone, but not lonely. I looked up at the house, the yellow paint still holding strong, the porch light steady. 84 years of footsteps, laughter, arguments, apologies, cinnamon, creaks. One sharp slap that echoed for a moment, and then faded under decades of quieter, kinder sounds. I thought about Sarah sometimes, not with anger, just a passing wonder. I hoped she'd found her own roots somewhere. I hoped Michael had too. I knew Lily would. And me? I'd found mine right where they'd always been. In the creeks, in the garden, in the people who chose day after day to water what mattered instead of pulling it up. The swing rocked once more on its own, or maybe I just imagined it. Either way, it felt like the house saying goodnight. I finished my tea, set the mug down, and spoke softly to the night. "Thank you," I said, "to Robert, to the roots, to every hard lesson and every gentle return, for staying." Then I went inside, turned off the porch light, and let the garden lights keep watch. Because stories like this don't really end. They just grow deeper. Hey everyone, this is it, part 8, the final page of Margaret's story. If you started with that shocking slap way back in part 1 and stayed through every porch swing, every cinnamon roll, every quiet healing moment, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your comments, your shares, the way you told me this story felt like your family too, that kept me writing. Tell me one last time in the comments, what part of this journey stayed with you the most? What root are you most grateful for in your own life right now? Or if you could say one thing to Margaret, what would it be? If these kinds of stories, real feeling, messy, hopeful, still mean something to you, subscribe and keep the bell on. New ones are always growing. Until then, water what matters. Protect your home. Forgive when you can. Love fiercely anyway. And never forget, the best endings aren't loud. They're quiet. They're steady. They're home.